Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ben, and in this episode of the Smoking Hot Confessions Barbecue Podcast, we're jumping over the ditch and heading to Hawke's Bay, New Zealand. Hey family, I hope you're well wherever you are and you got that thin blue smoke rolling. This is episode 110 of the Smoking Hot Confessions Barbecue Podcast. And before we get into it, I've just got a couple of announcements that I want to put out there for you. First of all, if you haven't noticed, winter is officially here. I'm on the Gold Coast. I've actually had to put on some socks and shoes and long pants. I'm not very happy, but being a follically challenged gentleman, I'm still cold. So I just want to let you know that our hoodies and beanies are available on the website. They'll keep you nice and toasty warm on those chilly mornings tending the firebox. The hoodie features our award-winning Hail Mary design on the back and the logo on the front and a big pocket in the front for storage. And the beanie, as you can see, it's got 3D premium embroidery. It's a thick acrylic knit, and you can pick them both up from smokinghotconfessions.com/shop. And if you're enjoying this podcast and you're watching it on YouTube, it'd really help us out if you could give us a thumbs up, a subscribe, and ring that notification bell. If you're watching on Facebook, give this video a like and a share. And if you're watching on Instagram television, give us a heart and a follow. And if you're listening on a podcast app, make sure you track down how you can give us a rating and a review. And I tell you what, if you leave me a 5-star rating and review, I will give you a shout out on the very next episode. So talking about today's episode, we're going across the ditch. We're going to be speaking with a man who's at the core of the competitive barbecue scene over in New Zealand. He's a Weber man through and through, and in the short time he's been involved in the competition scene, he's got some incredible sponsors, including Kingsford and Matangi Angus Beef. If you've been watching the barbecue game show, you will have noticed that I think 2 weeks ago now, we had Matangi Angus Beef come in as a guest quizmaster, and we got to see some beautiful photographs of their product there. So that was just delicious. And of course, this guy has been a regular contestant on said game show. So naturally, of course, we are talking to Mr. Daniel Tate. Today, we're going to find out how he got into barbecue and the opportunities that barbecue has opened up for him. We're going to learn a bit more about the barbecue scene in New Zealand because I'm yet to actually make it over there for a competition, but it is on my list of things to do. And we're going to wrap up the interview with a lesson on restoring Weber kettles. So make sure you stick around for that because the Weber kettle craze is showing no signs of slowing down. So let's get stuck into it.
This is the internationally awarded Smoking Hot Confessions Barbecue Podcast with your host, Ben Arnott. How long's it been since your last confession?
So, Mr. Daniel Tate, welcome to the confessional, my friend.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. Awesome to be here.
Anytime. It is great to see you. Great to have you as always. So, how have you been since I last saw you on Friday?
Pretty good. Busy at work. Getting a bit of barbecue done. Did some barbecue on last night. So, yeah, that's good.
Now, I did check with Australia Post today, and thanks to COVID, there is up to a 5-week delay on getting that hoodie across to you. So we are already 2.5 weeks in. Your hoodie is on its way. I do promise you, it is coming.
2.5 weeks away.
Yeah. Just 2.5 weeks to go.
Yeah.
I almost said to the guy on the phone, mate, I could build a slingshot and just fire it across faster than that. But I thought, no, I better keep him on side. So, mate, you cook with the competition team Heavy Kettle Smokers. Tell us about them.
Yeah, so we sort of got off the ground in 2017. New Zealand had a Jack Daniel's series going after the first meat stock we had in Auckland. And I only did one that season. But 2018, I started pretty much going to everyone I got a chance to with a variety of team members. But I'm lucky enough to sort of have three of us sort of on the permanent roster for the first 3 comps this year. So, yeah, consistency is nice.
I was going to ask, did you see a bit of a change in your performance and your results once you went from a gypsy team to a regular team?
We're still really starting to learning to work together, to be honest. But no, things are definitely getting a bit more consistent, and we're sort of starting to get our processes down, and hopefully, get some more improvements of results for the rest of the year.
Well, mate, I know you've already had a couple of good call-ups, so that'll be really nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
So these folks that are on the team, are they work buddies? Are they school friends? How did you pull the team together?
So these guys that come on the team with me, I originally met them at Meat Stock last year. And they had their own little team they had going, and I think they cooked lamb and brisket and basically cooked nothing else. So chatting to them, and they were keen to sort of come on board and give us a hand and sort of join in on the fun, I guess.
Right. So if they only did the two categories, was that always the plan, or did they perhaps have a few too many whiskeys and just not get those last couple of hand-ins done?
No, that was the plan. They just wanted to come along for a good time, see what it was all about, and meet some new people, I guess.
Yeah, always good when you can make that happen. So you are as we said at the top of the episode, and it's kind of a giveaway in the name. You're a Weber team. So why Webers, and what do you like to cook on? Like which models?
Okay, so Weber's kind of started for me from a young age. With my grandfather on his farm, he had a macadamia orchard. So it was always down by the dam, cooking on the Weber, and macadamia shells for smoke and wood for smoke. So that's my earliest memory of it. Then I bought my first Weber about 10 years ago, and have slowly started to get more of them over the years.
As we do.
As you do, yeah. So I think, once I bought my third kettle, I thought I decided, well, why do what everyone else is doing with the old offset thing? There's nothing wrong with Webers. There's no reason they can't do well, So that's sort of why I decided to stick with them, and I think I've sort of done pretty well with them as well. So, yeah.
So do you still have that old Weber from your grandfather's farm?
No. My parents sold it about 2 years before I decided I wanted a Weber myself. So.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh wow!
So, yeah, it would have been nice, but.
Do you remember at all what serial code it was?
Oh, I wouldn't have a clue.
Okay.
Wouldn't have a clue. No, wasn't even on my radar.
Nah, fair enough. Being your grandfather's, it'd almost be guaranteed to be like a 70s model, I'd say.
Yeah, I think it still had wooden handles all around, so I'd say it's probably early 80s.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I've got a 1984, and it's got the Weber, the wooden handles on it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, very cool. Now you mentioned that it was a macadamia. What's the word for it? Is it a farm or an orchard?
Orchard, yeah.
An orchard? Okay, yeah, because I know that it's a nut, so I wasn't sure. Do you call it an orchard or Okay, so a macadamia orchard, and you mentioned that you used to use the wood and the shells for smoke.
Yes,
is there
correct.
a particular preference for smoke between the shells and like a small wood chunk on top of charcoal?
I guess the shells are probably slightly stronger, but a slightly more consistent burn, I guess, is the big thing. You sprinkle a line of them along rather than having a chunk that lights up and then goes out, and then another one lights out and goes out. So no, just recently we've started being able to get macadamia shells over here for smoking now. So I've started using them again. So yeah, and quite a good smell from my past.
And I was about to say, does it just bring all those memories back and sort of connect you back to your grandfather in that way?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Beautiful. So what meats do you like to pair with that macadamia?
I guess it's probably more the red meats that can take a bit more smoke flavor. So like your lamb and your beef, and also I did a venison backstrap last night, so that worked really well with it. Yeah,
I saw the pictures of that, mate. That looked great.
The taste is pretty good.
So was that something that you hunted yourself? Because I know that that there's quite a bit of deer hunting goes on over there.
No, not myself. I've got a lady that's at my work. Her husband's a home kill butcher, so perks of knowing people, I suppose.
Yeah, no doubt. So was it farmed then, or was it wild?
I believe it was still wild. So it was from a farmer, a hunter that had brought in some meat to be made into sausages and stuff like that, and somehow decided he didn't want the best part. But
mate, that's a win for you. So I wouldn't be knocking that at all.
Oh no, I'm happy to take more.
Yeah. So is there a large wild deer population over there, or is it like farm animals that escaped? Because I can't imagine that they'd be native there. They must have been imported.
They're wild. They were bought in as game animals back in the day. So, some rich person come and pay a whole lot of money to go and hunt some deer. Yeah, and now there's too many of them.
We have the same problem over here with, foxes and rabbits and all these imported animals that just get out of control.
Yeah, rabbits over here as well as possums.
Yeah. Well, possums are actually protected over here. We aren't allowed to encourage them to leave.
Mm.
Strange.
Yeah, we can encourage them to leave, but slightly more forcefully.
Yeah. Which brings us back to the Webbers. So, which do you like to cook on when you're like, are you a Weber Smoky Mountain man, or like specifically just kettles? Like, are you exclusively kettles?
So I've got a Smoky Mountain, which I like to sort of do. That's sort of my pork machine, my pork shoulder. It just seems to give a real good sort of flavour and all that thing to it. Nice smoke ring and all that. The rest of the stuff I typically cook on my kettles. So a typical comp, I'll have, a kettle per protein plus the Smoky Mountain for, say, my pork. I just like the consistency of them, to be honest. They just work really well.
So with that Smoky Mountain, do you run that with the water pan in the bottom, or if you're doing a big pork shoulder, do you like to let all that fat drip down and hit the charcoal?
Yeah, so I've recently just started cooking that way, without the water pan at all. So, and I like the first result I got out of it. So I think I will be cooking that way a lot more. It's my most challenging protein. It's sort of, I've ended up with the first, last year, and since then haven't got, top half with it. So,
okay,
so need to work on that.
Yeah, for sure. I have something similar to a Weber Smoky Mountain, and I always used to run the water pan in it. And then someone gave me the tip of actually putting in volcanic rock instead of the water pan, and I found that that the volcanic rock gets hot enough to sort of not burn, but sort of cook the juices and the fats that fall down on it, and sort of add more flavor to the meat without actually burning the fats and the juices. But having said that, I did it for the first time just a few weeks ago. I did a hanging lamb leg in the Ozpig with the smoker attachment. I don't know if you've seen them. And so I hung that from inside the smoker so that the lamb fat and juices could all drop down straight onto the charcoal and wood fire. Mate, that was pretty epic, the flavor that came off that.
Oh, lamb fat's the best. Definitely.
Yeah. Now you've managed to pick up some, like, a pretty impressive lineup of sponsors. So you've picked up Kingsford and Matangi. So tell us about Kingsford first. How did you pick up sponsorship with them?
So I was sort of when I first started competing, and Adam Roberts had put out a bit of a call saying, look, any New Zealand teams want a charcoal sponsor, just hit me up and I'll have a word to Kingsford for you. And it all sort of happened from there. So I think I'm with my third season with them now. So,
oh wow! So you've got quite
happy with me. So
yeah, quite a long relationship with them now.
Yeah. So it's good to have them on board. Charcoal as well as a few other bits and pieces. So yeah, it's really good to have them.
Oh, very handy. Yeah. And so what is it that you like about their briquettes?
I really like the ones with the fruit wood ingrained into the briquettes. I feel like, again, like what I was saying with the macadamia shells, it sort of carries on that smoke between your wood chunks lighting up. It's not enough alone, but it's just helps to keep things going along, and it smells really good is the other thing.
Yeah, that's always nice. It's it's probably a really good thing that they've got that little extra bit of extra kick in there, because sometimes fruit woods can be quite subtle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it's good. Very good.
Now, tell me about Matangi beef. You sent me some photos of their stuff, and that is outstanding beef. Tell us about Matangi.
Yeah, so Matangi are a farm in Hawke's Bay. They've been around the last year and a half or so relatively new. But it's 100% grass raised. So, no grain, none of the antibiotics, all that sort of stuff. really, really well taken care of animals. Not intensive either, so very few animals per hectare or whatever it is. Don't ask me for numbers, but they're still sort of starting out. So last year they did 27 animals over the entire year, so relatively small scale, but a lot of really good restaurants are using their stuff. There's obviously a reason for it. It's really good, really nice.
The marbling was just insane. You showed me a tri-tip and some rib on bone steaks. Bone on rib steaks.
Yeah, no, it's quite amazing. What they can actually achieve. Previously you think you could only get that out of Wagyu, but apparently. Well,
first of all, you would assume that you could only get that kind of marbling out of Wagyu, and second of all, out of grain feeding.
Exactly.
Now, if they're 100% grass fed, they must have a really carefully curated pasture profile.
Yeah, must be high calorie and all that sort of thing, lots of nutrients. And I suppose, as I said before, the big thing is just not having too many animals on it. Give them enough room to breathe, and give them enough to eat.
Yeah. Bit closer to how nature intended it.
Yeah, exactly.
So I, of course, haven't had a chance to actually try any of it yet. So with that such a high degree of marbling in that Angus, how does it taste compared to Wagyu? Because Wagyu's quite rich and heavy.
Yeah, so it's beefy. It's really beefy, which you don't really get out of Wagyu, I don't think. My last competition we did some short ribs, and I almost would want to say it's the best short ribs I've ever eaten. It's just another level. It's sort of kind of what I've been hunting for. So it's really good to have those guys on board.
And so how did you actually get to know them and get to meet them?
So my butcher, he was my butcher. He recently sold his butchery and has now started a private processing home kill business, and also for commercial processing he's doing as well, obviously with Hangi. So he's been doing their stuff for about a year now. But I actually ended up, I've seen the stuff in the chiller. And always liked the look of it. And then I saw a post come up from Hangi on Facebook, and I decided, I'd try some, would try some of their stuff and buy some of the stuff off them. So let the guy, Matthew, know kind of what I'm about. And sort of started from there and sort of got talking, and he decided to come along and, sponsor our next few competitions. So.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
And so just listening to you now, I've realized I've been butchering the pronunciation of that word. I've been putting the Australian twang on that, matangi. So it's matangi.
That's one. Yeah.
Matangi. Okay. And is that a Maori word? Is that what is the meaning of that word?
I wouldn't have a clue.
Okay. I will Google that later and I'll put that in the show notes. All right. Yeah, so that's some really good beef there. So with all of your competition and all of that sort of stuff going on over there, what sort of opportunities has barbecue opened up for you?
I guess I've met a whole lot of great people is probably the main thing. People that I probably never would have met otherwise, and people I'm proud to call a friend, I suppose, is the big thing. I'm still kind of separated from the majority of the people being in Hawke's Bay. Most of the people are in Auckland, but no, it's like going to your best mate's house every time you go to a comp, So
yeah, absolutely, yeah. And you're being pretty humble there, but I know that you've had a pretty good connection come out of this in terms of making pies and all that sort of stuff. So tell us what happened there.
So it's actually a really good friend. Anyway, always used to go to his bakery and buy things off him. He won the pie awards a few years ago for New Zealand. So one of his pies when he was working for New World. So he started his own bakery about maybe a year and a half ago now, and is slowly getting his stuff going. And one day after a competition, I had some leftover brisket. I thought, I wonder whether he could make me some pies. So we worked together and got a nice recipe together, and they're absolutely awesome. Yeah, the best pastry you've ever tasted, I reckon. So
yeah, so good. I do love a good brisket pie.
Yeah, so the name of the company is Shano's Bakehouse. So he's just based in Hastings.
Beautiful,
yeah.
Beautiful.
And now he's actually carrying them on the menu, so I got him addicted.
Got a project you'd like to work on with the SHC team? Shoot Ben an email on ben@smokinghotconfessions.com and let's have a conversation.
All right, so let's move on now to the NZ barbecue scene. So here in Australia, we always had a strong, what we called barbecue culture, but once you actually learn about barbecue, it turns out it's actually grilling. So we've always had a strong grilling culture over here. And now Low and Slow is kind of has joined in with that as well. So we've got both ends of the spectrum there. What is the importance of barbecue in New Zealand culture? Sort of setting aside for now the Low and Slow scene.
So I guess the scene before Low and Slow was around was pretty much the same as you guys. Sausages and tomato sauce and bread and all that sort of thing. Always if you're on summer holiday, you'd have a barbecue or out on the boat or going to the beach. Most of the time it was gas, but more recent times, charcoal is becoming a lot more popular, which is nice. So it's always a good time for family and friends.
Yeah. And tell me about the Hangi.
The Hangi. So I've only had a couple of them before. I've helped put one down. It's kind of a low and slow, but not, everything is kept a lot more moist. So everything sort of fall apart when it's sort of finished. So are you familiar with the process of how it's done?
I know that it's to do with a hole in the ground, but I've never actually been to one. So I've never actually sort of seen it.
Yeah. So it's effectively a hole in the ground, chuck a whole lot of big river stones in there, the ones that don't explode. Light a big fire on it, let it go down to embers. The rocks are all hot. Food goes into baskets, into the ground. Get some wet blankets over the top of them, then a bit of dirt over the top of them. Stays in there for 12 hours, and dig it up, and it's all ready, and it's really, really tasty.
Wow. So it's sort of almost similar in origin to traditional barbacoa.
Well, where's that from?
So that's the sort of the origin point that a lot of people think about when they think about Low and Slow. So it was sort of a South American or lower states of American method of they dig trenches in the ground and build fires in the ground and all that sort of stuff. So sounds like it might share some sort of origins there. But the big question I have is, how do you work out which are the exploding river stones and which ones are not the exploding river stones?
Heat them up, I guess.
Just throw them in the fire and just wait and see what happens.
Yeah, well, typically, like a lot of the maraes will actually have a set of stones they've found and they've been using for years and years that they've just kept on chucking back in there and keep on reusing them. So,
okay, all right. So it's almost like a trial and error thing.
Yeah, but obviously they know what to use, whereas I'm not a Hangi expert.
Okay. Yeah. I was pretty excited because I turned 40 last year, and the guy across the street and about 3 doors down, he had a big van up and he was called the Hangi Chef. And I was like, right, that's it. For my 40th birthday, I'm having a Hangi. And then my wife had to have huge surgery on her back. So we pushed my birthday party out, and we're still waiting for it. And he's packed up and moved out, and he's gone somewhere else. I don't know where he's gone. So no Hangi for me. So Low and Slow then, was that a thing in New Zealand before the competitive scene, or was it, did it sort of kick off at the same time?
So Low and Slow as an American Low and Slow probably started with the whole, around the time just before meat stock kind of got over here. But before that, there was a lot of, I know I personally, I've been cooking Low and Slow for 10 years, just not knowing it.
Yeah.
Chucking a beef roast in there and doing it for 8 hours, by mistake, I guess. But it was good. So,
Yeah, right. So when you say a beef roast, was that like a chuck roast for pulled beef? Like were you doing pulled beef and like knowing that you were doing pulled beef, or were you just doing like a low temperature rib roast or something?
Yeah. So I think it was most topside or that sort of thing. Like a typical roast and just cooking it nice and slow and slicing it, I guess, is the main thing.
Okay.
For bread rolls or whatever it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Not the the classic American style, but sort of get in there.
Yeah, so sort of blending the style with the sort of more English cuts.
Yeah, I guess so.
Interesting. Okay, cool. And so the competition scene, you said that was just before the first meat stock. I was just talking with Jay a couple of days ago. That was, I think, 2017, I think he said.
Yeah, start of 2017 was our first proper competition. Was meat stock. So I didn't compete that year. I went up as a spectator, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. I sort of knew about the whole American scene just before meat stock. There was a local barbecue joint that came down here, and he was doing a few pop-ups, and I sort of got to be really good friends with him. That was probably mid 2016, and that's sort of when I started cooking that sort of style. Yeah. And then the first series kicked off at the end of 2017. So Jack Daniels had sort of got together and put together a series, and sort of all snowballed from there, I guess.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And so we'll get back to meat stock in a minute. What was the competition that was before meat stock? You said that meat stock was the first real one.
There were a few amateur competitions. I never really had much to do with them. It was just, I can't recall exactly where they were, but I do know there was one or two amateur sort of things going on, nothing really formal. It was more sort of local areas rather than anybody traveling for it. But meat stock really started it all.
Yeah, right. Okay. So meat stock kicked off. Jack Daniels built a series kind of around the model. Because the Jack Daniels is separate from the meat stock, isn't it? They're not
Separate.
partnered up.
Yeah, completely separate.
Yeah, cool.
So still ABA sanctioned, or now NZBA, but was ABA at the time. Yeah.
Awesome. So what was the growth like? Did it sort of explode, or was it a, if you'll pardon the bad pun, a slow burn?
I think there was it was about 15 teams for the first sort of part of the season, and I think once it got into 2018, I think there was about another 4 in 2018, and that sort of gained a bit more of a following, and there was sort of up to about 20 teams from different sort of regions. So the series sort of went all over New Zealand. So Auckland, Wellington, Hawke's Bay, Hamilton. They were planning on going to Christchurch, but they couldn't get enough people down there. But since then, there has been a competition down there. So now pretty much everyone gets a go.
Yeah. Well, that's actually something that I hadn't thought of, but I guess it's a good question to ask. Do you find that the barbecue scene is concentrated in the North or the South Islands?
North Island, definitely.
Oh, okay.
Most of it's in Auckland. That's the highest concentration of the people, as well as up in Auckland as well. Whereas a few of us travel, 6 hours to get to most comps. So, yeah.
So Hawke's Bay then, where you are, is that South Island or North Island?
North Island.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
okay.
Middle of the North Island. Have you heard of Taupo before?
Yeah, I have actually. Yeah.
Directly east.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Very nice. I did a a little trip around the South Island when I was in high school. But so my geography knowledge of New Zealand is pretty rough. I do apologise.
Yeah.
So 2018, you saw up to about 20 teams. Where's it at as of, well, I won't say now because we know where it's at now. It's the same as everywhere else. But at the start of 2020, how big was the scene? How many teams?
2020. So last season, I think there was around 70 teams.
70? Wow.
Total that competed. Not all of them in one place at one time.
Sure, yeah.
But there was 70 teams that had done at least one comp. So a reasonable amount of people, you know.
That's actually really impressive. And on a per capita basis, that's more than us.
That's quite a few.
Yeah. We've got 250 teams, but we've got about, I think, 6 times the population or 5 times the population, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, you've got the maths is hurting my brain, but more per capita. I know that it's more per capita.
Yeah.
So who are the barbecue competition stars over there? Who are the biggest players in the scene?
Biggest players in the scene. Oh, there's quite a few of them. So the current grand champion is Team Barbecue War. You've probably seen their tank everywhere. Everyone's seen it probably. Rum and Q are big, pretty experienced. The first grand champion we had over here, Caleb, he was Big Tent Meat Revival. So he actually died of cancer at the start of the lockdown, which was very sad for the whole community. He's quite missed, to be honest.
I remember seeing those posts. Heartfelt feels go out to his family and friends.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, he was just such a great guy, the most genuine guy you could ever meet.
Looked like he gave a lot to the scene as well.
Oh, massive! Yeah, he was always there for advice. He wouldn't turn anyone away.
Nah.
He's just good guy, really good guy.
Yeah.
So you've also spoken to Brendan Racema of the Smoking Meat House.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so he managed to GC Meatstock this year, which was awesome. So he's one of the local guys down in Hawke's Bay. So it was awesome to see a local guy.
There you go.
With big prize. And so many teams, you know, and there's a few new teams that have come on recently that have really smashing things, to be honest.
Yeah.
Doing really well.
So the learning curve is getting shorter and shorter then?
Yeah. I suppose the cool thing about the New Zealand scene is there's no secrets. You go up to someone and they'll pretty much give you their recipe, you know?
I actually heard, and this is good because you can tell me if this is true or not. I heard that it's actually policy at competitions that there's no walls on the tents.
Not policy, but it's unspoken. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But, everyone's your mate, you know, you sort of, hey, and you might want to see what they're doing as well.
Yeah.
You know?
I remember one competition that I was competing at. I always have all my walls down unless there's inclement weather, and my neighbours had all their walls up and very tightly closed. And throughout the weekend, one of the Velcro seams started to come apart on their walls, and I grabbed my phone in my hand and just stuck my hand through the hole in the wall and just started panning my phone around, and then I pulled my hand out. I didn't make any sound. I just wanted to see if they'd notice, and dead set following my hand back out the hole was one of their hands with a knife, and they started panning the knife around. I thought that was pretty funny. I was being cheeky and they were cheeky right back.
Yeah.
So is Meatstock the biggest then, or is Jack Daniel's kind of really building up their competitions as well?
Yeah, so Meatstock has been the biggest. So I think we had 54 teams this last year. But as a sort of comparison, we had 40 teams at Kumeu at the start of the year. So, you know, the Jack Daniel series is actually getting there, to be honest. Probably that Kumeu comp is probably one of the coolest comps ever. It's part of a hot rod show.
Nice.
Yeah, so yeah, rocket cars and all sorts of stuff racing all around the place. So
And
it's really cool.
everybody all decked out in their rockabilly gear and
Yep, exactly.
live music and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, awesome place. Yeah, one I never miss.
Perfect. So, what do you do over there that that you would describe as being uniquely New Zealand in your barbecue cooking? So, is there, I mean, you've talked about wild deer, you've talked about the macadamia farms. In Australia, we like to consider lamb to be our Australian category when we're talking about barbecue to Americans, but I know that there's a lot of lamb done over in New Zealand as well. Lemon myrtle is a common Australian herb that a lot of people put in their lamb spice rubs and all that, and their game rubs. What sort of uniquely New Zealand stuff do you guys use?
I don't know really whether we've gained much of a sort of regional sort of thing yet, to be honest. We're big on lamb. Lamb's one of our big ones. We've done duck at a few competitions as well, which seems to go down really well. Really tasty. We're sort of part of the Australian scene. We're sort of doing a lot of the similar things you guys are, really. Never tried lemon myrtle though. That could be interesting.
It goes really nicely on the white meats.
Okay,
it's really good, and it's a nice counterpoint to some of the richness in the lamb.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really good. I really like it. But tell me about the duck. How do you go about doing a duck?
So duck. Well, the past few comps we'd just parted it out, and we ended up serving duck breast. So just a nice cook 300 Fahrenheit, and then give it a nice glaze, and then slice it, chuck it in the box, and seems to do quite well.
Okay, and what sort of flavor profile do you go with? Because I know that the duck has quite a rich fat to it. So do you go with like a more of a vinegary type glaze, or do you go with like a heavy tomato based glaze?
Yeah, so we actually used sort of an orange based glaze.
Nice.
Sort of typical Asian flavors. Bit of cinnamon in the rub as well, so it goes quite well.
I love putting cinnamon in my beef rub. Everyone looks at me like I'm crazy, but yeah, cinnamon in beef rub. Fascinating.
But no, we ended up getting second the first year we did duck, so that was cool. So yeah,
very nice. I went to a competition in Perth where they had whole duck was a category.
Okay.
And it was really funny because I was going around and shooting videos and interviews and things with the different teams, and they all had like a duck or two ducks hanging by their necks up in the up in their various tents around the site. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, well, we just got given. I think they gave us 3 ducks, and you do what you want with them, basically.
Oh wow!
So we ended up parting 2 out, and then sort of cooking all those bits separately, and then did one whole and just left it and did its own thing. And realistically, we should have handed that one, and it was delicious.
Yeah, it's always what not goes in the box that you're like, oh, that was the best.
Yeah.
And then you start kicking yourself.
Mm.
So we mentioned before that, of course, there's no comps happening at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
New Zealand is sort of known around the world right now for being at the forefront of reaction and response to COVID. So it stands to reason then that your comp scene would be starting up again before anybody else's. Is there any word on the street yet of when your comps are going to get back online?
So there's one that's pretty almost certain to go ahead in September. And there's rumors of August as well. So
as soon as August, wow.
Yeah. The September one's actually a local one, so which is nice. So first comp of the season, of the second part of the season, will be at home. But it's a really cool one. It's at a little craft brewery. And they've also got cabins there as well. So quite a few of the teams are actually staying right next to where their barbecues will be. So
that's perfect. Absolutely perfect. So what comp is that?
It's the West Shore Beach and Barbecue Battle. So it's in Napier.
Okay.
sort of right near the Napier Airport. So a lot of the teams will fly in, fly out as well for it. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Are you going to be attracting some international visitors, do you think, or will the borders still be closed?
Well, if you want to come along, Ben, I reckon we'd probably find a place for you.
Oh, I was actually thinking more like Mo Cason or, Sterling Smith or someone
Someone
a bit of a bigger fish than me.
That's not that big yet. So it's sort of going to be around the 25 team comp, that one. Max, I would say. There's not a great deal of room there. So, but there'll be, I don't think we've got anyone. Probably Trevor Dawson will probably come over, as always.
Yep.
Trev.
Yeah.
Yeah, Aussie Clip Boys.
Yeah. He's currently number 1 on the ladder over here.
Oh, wow. Cool.
They're the only team that managed to get 3 comps in before COVID shut everything down. So if
because they did RGC at Medstock, Auckland. So
yeah. So if we don't get a competition over here for the rest of the year, they're automatic number 1 team of the year for 2020.
Nice.
Yeah, in a running race of 1.
Yeah.
He was always going to be at the pointy end anyway. I was actually tipping 2020 was going to be his year.
It could be.
Yeah.
He just cooks amazing stuff.
He does. Yeah. So that competition in September, that the Kumu Beach and Barbecue, is there a seafood category in that?
No, there isn't. So we've got sort of the 5 categories. So your lamb, beef, pork ribs, and chicken. And then we're actually doing SCA on the Saturday.
Oh, cool.
So just trying to remember what the categories were. I think it's deviled eggs is one of the categories. Tacos and double steak. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And of course, you'll have some of those matangi steaks there as well.
Unfortunately, not. They're being sponsored by Ebony.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so everyone will be sponsored by Ebony for the 4 steaks, I guess it would be.
Okay, gotcha. So it's a sponsored event.
Yeah. So the steaks are most of the time. Yeah, it's always going to be from the same place, so people don't go and buy a $300, Japanese Wagyu Scotch fillet sort of thing,
Yeah, I should have known that. I just realized after I said it. I've been to like 8 SCAs now. I should remember that you get the steaks are issued to you. Anyway, never mind. Yeah, well, look, man, I'm really hoping that those comps do get to kick off soon for you, because it'll be good to see you get out there and get amongst it. And I dare say that the New Zealand scene is going to be the first to be able to get back up there again.
It probably will be, to be honest. I think we're down to, if not 1-0.
You're listening to the internationally awarded Smoking Hot Confessions podcast with massive barbecue nerd Ben Arnott.
Alrighty, so let's now jump into the final segment of the interview. You're going to tell us a bit about restoring Webers, being the huge Weber fan that you are. So, of the Webers that you own, how many of them did you buy new, and how many are rescues?
So of the Webers I own, I've got 2 kettles that are new, and a Smoky Mountain that's new, and then I think I've got another 3 kettles that are old sort of rescues, I guess you'd call them.
Yeah.
1986, 1988, and 1991. So relatively old. Luckily, I've managed to get them in quite good condition and need very little work to them. But just a quick tidy up, and they look $1 million.
Yeah.
But they cook good either way.
Yeah. So when you are out there and you are looking to rescue a kettle, what are you looking for in the kettle? So is there a certain point or a certain particular problem that might pop up that you go, oh no, that kettle's too far gone, or oh yeah, that one just needs a little bit? Like what are you looking for when you're looking to rescue a kettle?
I suppose one of the things that would almost be a deal breaker for me is if you start to end up with your legs rusting off. Once the brackets the legs attached to are gone, it's pretty much gone. I guess you could bolt them back on, but I like to have them in a bit better condition to start off with. I have with one of my first ones I rescued. We actually had to weld the handle back on top of it. So have a mate that's with a TIG welder, so managed to get that back on there and had enough metal on there that was still good. So now the handle's steady as.
So the handle had just rusted out, or it had been smashed off?
So the whole typical Weber thing, they get a bit of rust around where the handle attaches onto the bolt, and eventually if you put it out in the rain, and it'll rust through eventually. It'll get in there and sort of gets trapped in there and can't get out again, and has no other option but to go out through the bottom.
Yeah, fair enough. I can certainly understand that. And so, aside from the leg mounts where the legs plug into the bottom of the Weber, what else do you pay particular attention to?
I'd like to see if I like most of the components to be there if I can. You can always buy them as a spare part. Weber are really good and they're really helpful about it. But I'm not particularly looking for a mint condition barbecue, to be honest. As long as it's going to be functional. I don't mind the odd chip out of the enamel. It sort of adds to the character. I'm not going to go and repaint them or anything like that. It's not respecting the history of the barbecue, really.
Interesting way to phrase that, respecting the history of the barbecue. I like that. So tell me about your restoration process then. So you've been cruising the streets, you've found a curbside kettle, you've checked it out, the leg mounts look good, it's got all the bits and pieces, it's in the back of the car, you've got it home. How do you set about restoring it? So
probably the first thing you do is getting rid of all the crud that's sort of baked onto it. If it's an old used one, so a paint scraper is basically the first step. They're baked glass enamel, so they can take a lot of abuse. You can hit it with that paint scraper and it won't damage it at all. So sort of get the most of that off to start off with, and then get in there with a bit of warm water and the steel wool, and maybe just a rag to polish it up a bit. I'm not really looking to take it too far. I just wanted to make it look good. It doesn't need to look brand new. It's not going to look brand new ever again. So I believe on cooking on everything. I don't believe on keeping it and not using it. So a bit of steel wool, and then just normally a bit of steel wool on the outside with warm water is all it really takes. Just the sort of the steel scour pads with the soap in them. They usually use it pretty well. And then give them a good rinse down. So that's sort of the enamels really taken care of. Any sort of aluminium parts, get a nice metal polish on there, or even if it's really bad, a bit of light grit sandpaper. Give those a bit of a tune down, and then hit them with a polish afterwards, and sort of bring them back to a nice new sort of condition. And then sort of your grates. They're either going to be rescuable or they're not. Hit them with a wire brush, coat them with a bit of oil, and cook with them, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you've got your steel wool there, are you using that on both the inside and the outside of the kettle, or just the outside?
No, both. Yeah, both. Yep. It's again, it's a pretty bulletproof surface, so it's all That's why they chip so badly when you drop them, is because they're glass basically. So, steel wool will work around the whole lot, and the warm water and a little bit, the soap that's actually on the pad really helps to sort of get rid of those just a little sort of burnt on spots, I guess. And what you can also do, like, I don't know whether you've ever seen a Weber that's got sort of speckles on the outside of it, like little white dots around the outside of it.
No.
So just a vegetable oil on a rag, and then heat it up, and it'll actually sort of bring back to a nice smooth surface.
Vegetable oil on a rag.
Yeah, so vegetable oil on a rag.
Yeah.
So just cooking oil on a rag, and just give it a nice wipe around the lid, and it'll sort of fill in all the little imperfections a little bit. And a similar sort of technique if you've got any enamel that's chipped off. just get it nice and warm, and then put some oil on a rag, vegetable oil on a rag, and just rub it into those, and it sort of helps protecting it from rusting.
Yeah. Oh, very nice. Now you mentioned something about soap before, that it was important to get a pad with soap inside it. So is that like, do you get some dish soap and put it in the warm water and use that with the metal? I'm mental blanking. The
Scour pad.
Scour pad, yeah, the metal stuff.
You can do that, but there's, I don't know whether have you got the Cielo brand over there?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they've actually got they've got a little like a soap on the surface of them.
Oh, okay.
Have you seen those?
I can't recall now.
Yeah, okay. So you can get lemon ones, you can get all sorts of different sort of scent ones. But yeah, they actually come with a soap on them, which actually seems to work quite well and gets quite a nice little lather going.
Yeah.
Yeah, but sunlight would work just fine, and water. Yeah.
Oh, very good, mate. My kettles are going to be loving me. I'm overdue to give my kettles some love. I actually went to grab my old 1984 one I was telling you about the other day, and it's actually seized at the bottom, and all the little nut and bolt underneath it that screws up into the one-touch system, that's all rusted, frozen shut, and I'm just worried I'm going to snap it if I try and put too much elbow grease in it. So I'm going to have to contact Weber and get a replacement set and then snap it.
Yeah. So what you do is the thing that looks like a nut on the bottom of it isn't actually a nut.
Then I would probably definitely snap it off then.
So all you do is you get a cut-off wheel, and where the handle goes through that, take a cut-off wheel and just basically slice down either side of where the nut is. And then give it a light tap from the bottom, and it'll fall straight out through.
Oh, good to know.
So yeah, the handle and the little washer on the bottom is the only thing that's holding that vent from falling through.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. All right. Well, my kettle's going to be looking so good in no time at all. And all right, so that's probably a good point to start closing out the interview now. So I'm going to throw the studio over to you, give some thanks, give some shout outs, and tell everybody where they can follow Heavy Kettle Smokers on the internet.
Yeah. So thanks for having us, Ben. It's great to sort of have you involved and getting the word out there. Yeah, there's quite a few people I'd like to thank. My partner for putting up with me, going away to competitions and having lots of barbecues and barbecue-related stuff around the house. All my sponsors, they're awesome. We've got Hangi, we've got Low and Slow Barbecue Suppliers, a local supplier here. Really takes really good care of me. Shano's Bakehouse. He's a great supporter, and he helps us out with with fuel costs and stuff like that, which is really good. Kingsford, they just invaluable. It's so good to have them on board, and the support they give us is just great. And also my work. So I'm an electrician, and they let me use the work van to go to competitions, which is very helpful. I have to put gas in, but that's fine. But yeah, I'd struggle to get to a lot of them if I couldn't have A, the time off, and B, the way to get there. So yeah. And who else have I got? There's probably so many people I'm forgetting. Martangi, of course. Awesome stuff. And as far as getting in contact with me, on Facebook, I haven't got onto the Instagram or anything like that, but on Facebook, search Heavy Kettle Smokers Comp Team, and you'll see us there. We try and involve people if we can. Put a couple of recipes, and we hope to do that a bit more in the future. So it'd be great if you can jump on there and give us a follow or a like, and let us know who you are, and we can do the same to your page. So
excellent, mate. Sounds good. I'm sure you're going to get pick up a few likes, because you're obviously a very genuine guy, and you're very passionate about the barbecue scene, and people are going to be drawn to that. So, mate, I just want to say thank you for taking the time to come on board the show. I've had a great time talking to you, and I'm sure the listeners have had a great time listening and watching. Now we've got video as well. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Ben. Cheers.
So there you have it, family. That was Dan Tate from Heavy Kettle Smokers from New Zealand. I've been talking to Dan for a while now in the Smoking Hot Confessions barbecue game show. He's a top guy. He's really passionate about barbecue, and he loves championing the New Zealand barbecue scene. And how good was that advice on restoring those kettles? So do make sure you jump over onto Facebook, look up their page, Heavy Kettle Smokers Comp Barbecue Team, and make sure you give them a follow and throw Dan some love. Now, if you've enjoyed today's show and you're listening on a podcast app, please take a minute to leave a rating and a review. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to hit subscribe, ring that bell for notifications, and give us a thumbs up. And if you're watching on Facebook, it's a share and a like. And IGTV, it's a heart and a follow. So I'd really appreciate that, and it would really help us out to spread the message here from Smoking Hot Confessions. So that's all the time we have for today. So until next time, take care of each other and keep on queuing.
Thanks for listening to the Smoking Hot Confessions podcast. Head on over to smokinghotconfessions.com for recipes, tips, and Ben's own confessions.